Dr. Robinson, you're from Rutgers.
That's right.
And you teach.
I teach entrepreneurship.
And did you speak already?
I did.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Are you an entrepreneur yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I started my first company when I was an undergraduate student at Rutgers.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's 25 years ago. But my first company I started with my college roommates.
What was it?
It was, well, we sold records and CDs and tapes. Does anybody even know what those are anymore?
I know. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that was the one side of the business. The other side of the business is we were making money off of the sales so that we could go to school districts, particularly urban school districts, and do college workshops. So we needed to have money to be able to do that, and so that's one side fed the other.
Well, they said, get your hustle on.
That's it.
And we are an entrepreneurial people.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of rooted in us, but it was kind of knocked out of us for a while. Our parents thought that many of our parents in my generation thought that the only way you could really make it is get a job working for someone else.
Right, a good job.
A good job.
That's right.
Right.
I know, I heard that myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, but of course the challenge was that, especially in the 70s and 80s, that was what we would say. And people were doing well. They were going into government jobs as well as corporations, and with various programs, initiatives around that. But like you said, we didn't do as much entrepreneurship.
No, we didn't, because our families wanted us to get in something sustainable to take us into retirement and all of this, where we understand why they did it, but I look back and I would be hopeful that we could have done our own.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people think that when we encourage people to go into entrepreneurship, that it's only because we want them to make money, which again is the parallel to careers and corporations. But that's not the only reason or the only potential impact of people going into entrepreneurship, especially people of color. I mean, the secondary aspect is you're creating jobs. Absolutely. In communities where other people aren't going to create jobs.
Right.
A third area or third way is that sometimes when we create these businesses, yes, they may be making money, but they're also making other kinds of positive social impacts.
Absolutely.
And then there's the social capital piece. I mean, who sponsors the church, the Little League,
right.
The Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts?
Right.
Who's doing that kind of thing in the background? I mean, that's the business owners that are doing that. And when you don't have that, and then if you don't have the sort of the all-star entrepreneurs who are able to create foundations, who can fund schools, all of a sudden, what's left? You don't have all of the infrastructure you need.
So you teach entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Now, the students who come to your class, are they mostly ones who want to start businesses, or this is a class in the business department maybe I'll just take?
Well, so we have a couple of different programs. These last few years I've been teaching the graduate students. So the students who come to me are students who are, they've taken all of their other, corporate-like requirements. Mm-hmm. But now they're thinking about the long term, because they realize that in these last few years, even a corporate job is not guaranteed. So some of them were thinking, how do I get out of being in the corporate life? So they're looking at, I want to know how to write a business plan. I want to know what I need to look for. Some of them already have ideas. Some of them who take my social entrepreneurship class.
Now, what is social entrepreneurship?
Great question. So these are those entrepreneurs who are trying to solve problems. We often categorize people as entrepreneurs.
Social issues, excellent.
Right, and so these social entrepreneur types are looking at an issue, looking at a problem, trying to figure out how to deal with that. And so those folks come into my class many times from the business school, but also from the School of Social Work or at School of Education, School of Policy. They're passionate about an issue or a problem, but they want to use an entrepreneurial approach to do it.
Right, because they see needs in communities also.
That's right.
What do you think of the Urban Entrepreneurship Symposium?
Oh, yeah, it's a great thing. It's great on multiple levels. It's one thing to talk about these things and do initiatives, but when you convene people together, you bring people in to show examples, you start to inspire and encourage other people to do it.
Yes.
And then by doing it here in Flint, what I'd like to see happen is that they launch their own initiative right here at the University of Michigan, Flint. I mean, the third thing is we all get to see each other and to encourage each other and potentially collaborate with one another. And when you have an event like this, you know, it puts some energy behind the topic.
It's nothing like feeling I can do this.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Look at what I could have handled something like that.
Absolutely.
That's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a gentleman who was an executive for Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
He just left Chrysler because 4 years ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, they told them, well, we're not going to fund your pension anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He said, wait a minute. You know, they had been funding it all. He had gone through the ranks and was working at
Right.
the headquarters. And he said, So he and his wife had a business. Now they've developing that and making it bigger.
Right.
He says he would encourage any young person to seek out starting their own business.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, a lot of times people, as far as starting your own business, you think about the health care. Yeah, I got to get health care. What if I get sick? What if I,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those other things. And what would you say if somebody says, well, someone who's 27,
Right.
26, 27, they're not under their parents' health care anymore.
Right.
They want to start their own business. What would you say when they say, well, gosh, I need to have some health insurance. I need to do this or that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, those are real considerations.
Yes.
I mean, even beyond the insurance piece, there's, you know, just how do I make the ends meet while
Right.
while we're in the startup
Right.
phase, right? Well, so there's a couple of things there. First of all, we actually have more options on being able to buy healthcare as an individual than we did even 5 and 10 years ago. I mean, part of the Affordable Care Act brings these things, makes it more accessible for individuals to go and get health care. So that's a possibility. And that's better than what we used to have in the system, which was primarily created through, you get your health care through employers. You have to be
Yes,
at some corporation. So that's one thing. And that was one of the things that I saw early on, that this could create more opportunities for entrepreneurs. Because now they can go purchase it on the statewide or the nationwide network of providers and pay reasonable costs and still be covered. So that insurance issue is not as bad as it used to be, going back even 7 years ago. I think what most people worry about are the other parts of their finances now. They start to think about, well, where do I get the startup money? I need $50,000 to do this right. But then they try to do it with $10,000 and it doesn't work out because they should have had 50 to begin with. And the other thing is,
What would you advise that person who needs 50 and they only have 10?
Well, they need to be creative, but we've got more options on how to go about this now. There are programs in every metropolitan area called microloan programs. I mean, if you ask a bank for $50,000, they don't want to do that. It's too small for them. But there are community development financial institutions that are able to do loans that are $50,000 and below. So that's a first stop. Second stop, business plan competitions. There are some that are organized by universities. There are some that are organized by other groups that you don't have to be affiliated with the university. Some that are open to anybody. And you got to put your package together.
You got to seek that out.
That's
Where
right.
would you find that information?
There's tons of websites on this thing, but there's one that is called bizplancompetition.com that catalogs where they all are, and you can search by region and actually find the right kind of business plan competition for you.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is one of the most outrageous business ideas that you thought was outrageous but ended up being something good? Can you think of one?
I can think of a couple. These are some of the ones I share with my students. When somebody first told me about Uber, I was like, that's never going to work. That's never going to work. Now I use it everywhere. I use it all around the world, so it's amazing. Somebody else I know had a proposal for a premium ice company. So premium ice is the typical ice cube. If you make an ice cube in your freezer, it's not crystal clear. It has it's a little foggy in there.
Right.
That's because your water that you're using and the process that you're using to make the ice is not premium.
Oh.
And so there are people who are connoisseurs of various liquors and spirits who want the purest ice.
The clear ice.
And you can buy that. You can buy that now. There are people who are selling that in different shapes and all these kind of things. I don't know how big that market is, but if you had come to me with that idea, I would have said, no way.
Wow.
And here's the third one that I always find kind of funny. So there's all these people now who are getting into this I guess they call it vaping or electronic cigarettes and things.
Yeah.
It's another one. I would say, why would anybody want to do that? But apparently it's a multi-million-dollar industry
Yeah,
now.
smoking cessation.
Yeah,
People
well,
want to quit
that's
smoking.
right. That's right. And so this, sometimes you find a niche in there that you can go
Yes,
for it, and
yes.
that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Just because I don't know about it, but you do, make your case.
Absolutely.
And there may be somebody out there who's willing to be an investor into that kind of business and
Well,
go the ride with you.
With Flint on the international stage right now, what do you think their opportunities are, the citizens?
Yeah, no, good. It's a great question. Well, so there's different kinds of businesses, right? So what I understand about Flint is there's about 100,000 people in this city, and apparently 20% of them are college students. Now that's interesting. I also understand there's some immigrant communities that are here.
Yes.
So I mean that combination of things. It's a manageable size city with a large college population. And a larger, fairly large immigrant population. I mean, those are different markets that you can get into. You got to figure out what those people in
Those communities
need. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an important piece. I think there are people here who have ideas. It would be great if there was a space. Maybe there is, and I just don't know it. A space where people could go and set up their businesses, like an incubator.
I did speak to someone today, and there's a building that's 40,000 square feet, I think.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And several stories that they're getting ready to open up.
Well, that would be great because that would be a central location that people with ideas could go to and learn and see what they can do. I mean, again, there's some local business people who could see some of these opportunities. For me as an outsider, I may not see them, but if you live here or you work here,
Right.
you'll see them.
Absolutely.
And those are the kinds of things. I mean, Flint reminds me of some other places that I've been, where there were some big plants that were here that aren't here anymore. But there's some large infrastructure that can be transformed into other things. That's where people have to start looking. There's an opportunity here to reinvest.
Right, and the good thing is they do have the colleges here,
That's
and
right.
universities.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. This is really interesting. I really appreciate what you had to say, and the entrepreneurship piece is fabulous.
All right. Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Will do.